Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm the Reverend Shari Woodbury, the church's settled minister. Whether you're attending online or in person, I'm glad you have chosen to join us on this Sunday morning. We come to worship, which from the Latin means to remember that which is of worth, to call us back to our highest values in community. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome to bring your whole self into this sacred space. I also want to say welcome back, or welcome to our newly named group, the Offbeats. It's great to have some contemporary music in the house. If you are joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account if you haven't already and sign in when you attend online. That'll give you a chance to use the comment feature. You can see what other folks are saying and greet each other, even share a joy or concern. For those joining in person, please note that coffee hour in the common room will be delayed today until after the special congregational meeting that will follow this worship service. However you are joining us, I encourage you to check out upcoming events around the church. And I've got 4 announcements to share with you. As I just mentioned, we are having a special congregational meeting following worship today on reproductive health, choice, and justice. We'll have a stretch break of about 15 minutes between the worship service and the congregational meeting. Members who are participating online at that point can switch from YouTube to Zoom using the Zoom link that was sent out. Those here in person can pop into the foyer at the back to grab a munchie and learn about some opportunities I'll be talking about later in the service to help this community extend a warm welcome to everyone who comes here. Announcement number 2, if you are in the building and have a smartphone that might be on church Wi-Fi, unless you particularly need it, please put your phone on airplane mode during the service. This and some other tweaking our tech team has done should help to provide a more consistent internet signal for our stream so those attending online have a smoother experience. So thanks for doing that airplane mode. We're working on a longer-term hardware solution, but for now this will help. And if you haven't already, you might turn the sound off on your ringer too. Third announcement, all events are publicized in Church eBlast social media and on the events page of our website. But we've heard that a few folks who come in person would like to be able to take something printed out of the church in their hands with them about upcoming events. So we've got printouts of Friday's eBlast in the foyer. You can grab one of those on your way out if that would be helpful to you. And for our 4th announcement, I invite MTC member Mark Leskatoff up for a final special bit of news.
I don't know if you all saw the Friday e-news. There's a lot of activities and programs that the church does, and those all take money, and the money comes from us. And the good news, though, is that the funnest way to give to the church is the Heart and Hand auction and Halloween party. And this year, it's going to have an in-person option. It seems like years since we've had an in-person Halloween party.
It has been years.
Okay. Well, that explains it. Anyway, check out the auction website. It's live now. You can find a link from the church's website. And we need help. It reminds me of an old-fashioned barn raising. It's a big deal. There's a lot of work. But, you know, it's a community event where people get together and everybody lends a hand and gives a little push to that heavy wall and it goes up easily. So you can sign up for a job in the foyer or contact the MTC at the check out the link on the church website. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks to all those who've already volunteered to help out. I'm going to have to start saying foyer now. I feel very fancy. Each week we acknowledge that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha is the land of the Omaha Oto Nations, and that Indigenous people in the greater community have become marginalized and made invisible. We want to recognize their presence and aspire to work with them to resolve issues like poverty, displaced children, and murdered and missing Indigenous women, the MMIW. This morning, Katrina Schmidt will light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. As she comes forward to do that, I invite you all to join me in the chalice lighting words by echoing each line after me. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation, as we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you, Katrina. Now I invite our membership coordinator, Melissa Gibson, to join me up here for a call to worship from Starhawk.
Good morning. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere, there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free.
I invite you to stand if that's comfortable for you and join us in our opening hymn, number 1000 in the teal hymnal, Morning Has Come, number 1000. Note that while masks are not required in the sanctuary, we do ask you to wear a good mask if you want to sing, since this is a higher risk activity. It's also fine just to listen. Number 1000.
Dance with joy and sing a song of
Amanda Burton has a story to share with all of us of all age this morning, and I think our kids will be making their way into the sanctuary here. If anyone young at heart wants to come forward for this story, you're welcome to do that too. I believe we'll be seeing the pictures on the screen.
Kiddos. Might just be us. All right. Well, I guess it's just us. The circle's all around us. We begin by drawing a circle on the ground along each shoe. A safe little place for just one person. Nobody in this circle but you. You could keep that circle closed to everyone but yourself, but that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. So, let's draw a bigger circle for you and your family to share. Now, you see what all can happen in a circle full of care. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. And wouldn't it be even better if all your friends could come and play? In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. Yet, there are still many outside the circle who are different in all they do. Though it feels slightly uncomfortable, we draw a bigger circle for them too. It doesn't mean the circle is easy. It can get harder the more we share. Like I like singing, or I like sports, or I'm team cake, or I'm team pie. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. As time passes, our eyes open, we see others we really care for. And that's when we ask ourselves, well, what's this circle really there for? So let us create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. Let our caring ripple out in a million little ways. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. As our circles grow and we watch them wonder-eyed, remember, the first circle started with just the love you hold inside.
Thank you, Amanda. Beautiful story for all of us. Each week we practice the virtue of generosity by taking up a community offering. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate goes to a local cause with a presence locally which resonates with UU principles. Those on YouTube may choose to donate directly to the organization online. For September, our Share the Plate recipient is Planned Parenthood, a nonprofit healthcare provider offering a wide range of patient services for sexual and reproductive health. We encourage you to learn more by visiting their website, plannedparenthood.org. I invite you to give with a generous heart as we hear another gift of music from our newly named contemporary music group, The Offbeats.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right.
Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night.
You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend.
If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow,
Keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running loud to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there.
yes, I will.
Now, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend?
Great to have you all back. We come to a time for the sharing of joys and concerns. If you're online and you want to share a joy or concern, you can put it in the comments and I'll lift it up here. I share the sad news, if you didn't see it already, that Elfriede Craig, Katrina Schmidt's mother, died suddenly on Tuesday last week. And so lighting of the chalice by Katrina was kind of in memory of Elfie. A full celebration of life service will be held at the church at 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 8th. We anticipate we'll have an online option too, and all are welcome. In lieu of flowers, if you'd like to make a memorial donation, please direct it to Parkinson's, Nebraska, and condolence cards may be sent to Katrina and her sons. We'll have the address in the Joys and Concerns e-blast. If you're here, I'm pretty sure she'll accept a hug after the service too. Okay. There's a little delay, so I want to give the online folks a moment. Okay. We call into the circle of care of this community all who know both joys and challenges, whether they have been spoken or remain unspoken. Let us enter a time of contemplation. I invite you to check your posture, let your eyes close, and take a few deep breaths. I will share a pastoral centering before we observe a time of silence together. The sound of the bell will signal the end of the silent time. But first, this pastoral meditation. As we breathe in stillness, let us be aware of others who join us in this communal time. Folks breathing with us nearby in other pews, and people connecting through screens and speakers to this network of seekers, too. Each of us has chosen to be part of this gathering. We have chosen to be among others in a liberal religious community. Whether this is our first time here or a long-standing part of our life, each of us may come longing for a circle of care and witness, longing for a community where our humanity is honored, where our hurts are in caring company, where our gifts may be received. Community is a warm, fuzzy, feel-good word, but it takes intentional practice to create and sustain a truly welcoming community. This church, like many Unitarian Universalist congregations, has an above-average share of introverts and misfits. Some of us have to stretch a bit more than others to open ourselves to new people. This is all the more true after a period of increased social isolation. Our social skills may be a bit rusty. Longtime participants here may be so eager to reconnect with familiar faces that unless we make a point of paying attention to new people, we may miss opportunities to connect, to make this community a haven of hospitality for all who need it. I invite you to remember what it is like to be new in a community, the courage it takes to enter a new church. No matter what the church website or recorded service suggests about the character of a congregation, the real tests come when you actually meet people. A newcomer may wonder, will this community live up to the lofty ideals to which they aspire? Let us remember the loss, loneliness, or searching that often leads one to enter a new sanctuary or a new streaming space in the first place. And the feeling of vulnerability that may accompany a visitor. Will they accept me? Will they even notice me? Will they care about me? May each one connected with this community know the joy of offering a welcoming word, a warm smile, a curious mind, not only to dear friends here, but to new people too. May each person within the sound of my voice actively choose to join in our shared ministry of hospitality. May it be so. Amen. A time of silence for your own inward reflection or prayer. In a spirit of hospitality, for our musical meditation today, I invite you to watch, listen, and if you feel so moved, even to dance along with a musical message from singer-songwriter Carrie Newcomer. This video is shared with permission. There's a lot of dancing in the video, so truly feel free to dance in your pew, dance in your seat at home, even dance in the aisle if you're so moved, as we make room at the table for everyone.
Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is a room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table for everyone. Let us sing the new world. This faces now gathering for everyone.
All right, now we're awake. People used to dance in church all the time. Maybe we should do that more often. When I moved to a new community for graduate school as a young adult in my 20s, I didn't know a soul. I remember vividly the people who made me feel welcome. During orientation week, in between evenings, unpacking moving boxes, I met my new classmates. I was chatting with a woman named Katie, and I remember feeling relieved that I had found a kindred spirit, and we soon became friends. I could have just stuck with Katie, or a small circle of friends, like our 4-person mahjong group that began meeting monthly, but I wanted more than a few individual friendships. I wanted to be part of a community. So I organized several game nights and get-togethers for other members of my entering class. Now, for someone as introverted as me, party planning was unusual behavior. I got to know a bunch of interesting people, though, and the faculty marveled at how close and supportive our cohort was in an academic environment that could be competitive and isolating. I also picked right up on my new friend Katie's suggestion to check out the local Unitarian Universalist Church, or UU Church, as we tend to say for short. At that point, I had never heard of Unitarian Universalism, but what she had told me intrigued me. It was an open-minded community of people who were seeking to live out their inclusive values together. That sounded good. I remember who welcomed me there, too. I met other young adults and went out for lunch with them after church a couple times a month. We'd huddle up after the service, choose a restaurant that fit our culinary tastes and student budgets, carpool over together, and put as many tables together as we needed to. There was always room at the table for everyone. The other group I quickly joined at the church was a music group. It was actually the choir, which was like a little family within the congregation. There was one singer in particular, a guy named Bob, who always had a big, bright smile for me. He would ask how things were going in school and make small talk with me. And there were others at my first UU church who made me feel welcome. Elizabeth, the hat lady, she always had these colorful hats, who greeted people at the door and had equally colorful stories to tell. The minister, Reverend Carlson at the time, who once hosted the young adult group for dinner, feeding us delicious lasagna. The other young adults, many just as new as me, were equally important to my sense of welcome, as they actively sought to connect with me and include me in activities. You don't have to be a longtime member of a church community to help others feel valued. I invite you to reflect for a moment on who made you feel welcome when you first started attending this church or another congregation you've been a part of. Whose smiling face and friendly voice come up for you? Where do I belong? That's one of the most powerful questions for a human being anywhere. We all want to find a place where we fit, people with whom we are welcome. Of course, when we go to a new place, a warm welcome is never guaranteed. We don't know if we'll find what we're looking for. It takes a good deal of courage to walk through new doors into a new community. Whether you were coming up the steps between these imposing pillars through our tall wooden doors, or entering the online door of a link to a service. Even if you already know some of the people who are gathering, you don't know if your hopes for the experience of community will be fulfilled or dashed. So I really count my blessings that the first UU church I set foot in did offer that warm welcome that put me at ease right away. One of my life transitions that was much rougher than my move to a new state for grad school was a shift from elementary school to junior high. I'm probably the only one who has bad memories of junior high. I had several close friends during grade school whose families moved away, and one of the girls I'd been friends with turned into a mean girl as we moved to a new school with new kids. She would play with me on the weekends or in the neighborhood, but would not acknowledge me anymore at school. There were things I enjoyed about junior high, but I have a painful memory from 7th grade. It's very specific in my brain of coming into the lunchroom with my rectangular tray of cafeteria food and looking down the rows of tables for a space where I could sit. Someone I knew who would be friendly. Cliques were forming, and there was not room at the table for everyone, or so it seemed to me. Eventually, I met a new girl whose family had just moved to town. By 8th grade, Tanya had become my new best friend, and my lunchroom dilemma was resolved. I was no longer lonely and forlorn every time I got to the end of the lunch line with my tray and had to find a place to sit. But it still stings to remember it. I realize now that, ironically, a lot of those other adolescents in the lunchroom were probably not trying to exclude me. They just weren't paying attention. They knew more kids from their old elementary school, and some of them were outgoing and made friends, new friends, more easily than I did. The people who already had friends at the table just weren't looking around. They were happy to be with the folks that they knew. It's a pattern that adults can play out too. I shared how during my first year in grad school, I made a concerted effort to create community. Well, over the next couple of years of that program, I didn't arrange any get-togethers for later waves of new students. I had settled into my own friendships and routine and was not thinking that much about other people who were now the new people. This can even happen at church coffee hours, when established members come eager to reconnect with the people that they know. If we aren't intentional, even if we want to be friendly, our table may not in practice feel like a very welcome table to newcomers. There was another way in which community became elusive for me in junior high. It was during those years that I began to pull away from my childhood church that my family went to. I valued the community there, but when I was asked to learn and confirm key beliefs, I demurred. I was a very engaged student in our confirmation class. I just didn't feel like I could stand up in front of the congregation at the end of that process and honestly say things like, I believe that Jesus was uniquely the Son of God, born of a virgin, died to save us all from our sins, resurrected after death, and so on. These declarations didn't compute for me, either literally or symbolically, and I didn't understand why they were considered the heart of the faith. Why focus on these improbable miracles of Jesus' birth and death instead of the way he lived his life? Yet despite my chafing at orthodoxy, I would have loved for more of my junior high classmates to have taken the example of Jesus and his early followers to heart. Like how unpicky Jesus was about the company he kept. It was come, come, whoever you are. Fishermen, prostitutes, tax collectors, like people who worked for the IRS, rabble of the empire, it didn't matter. That was what was so radical about communion in the early Christian community. Everyone shared equally around the same table, shared the same food, the same wine, the same bonds of fellowship, one with another, regardless of their background. As church scholar Justo Gonzalez writes of those early Christians, they gathered weekly to break bread in celebration. Those early communion services did not center on the Lord's passion, his death on the cross, but rather on his victory through which a new age had dawned. It was much later, centuries later, that the focus of Christian worship shifted toward the death of Jesus. As a celebration of the resurrection of Jesus, Gonzalez explains, in the earliest Christian community, the breaking of bread took place with glad and generous hearts, as it's written in Acts. The word generous probably referring to the sharing of food. To me, the miracle that the early Christians had witnessed during Jesus' life, which they gladly carried on, resurrecting in spirit in their own lives, was his disregard for the hierarchies and social divisions of the Roman Empire. The new age they had begun to experience through his ministry was an age of love and inclusion, an age of caring for everyone, sharing with everyone. As the Apostle Paul later wrote, there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you're all one in Christ Jesus, from Galatians. That's why Jesus, I think, was considered a dangerous radical, both politically and spiritually. To him, human hierarchies of social class or gender or ability or different cultures had no bearing on how we should treat one another. All were part of his beloved community. People who want to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, who see the image of God within each person, such people in any age trouble the status quo and its defenders. We've seen that in Nebraska in the last year or two, in the fearful way that one segment of the public and its officials has reacted to school health standards and policies that would honor the identities and needs of transgender and non-binary students. We also see it in the disdain and disregard for the poor that has long been rampant in our society. Most Americans know that Martin Luther King Jr. led the civil rights movement to significant victories, winning desegregation and voting rights for African Americans. We're less likely to remember his next steps, building a movement to unite poor people of all races and backgrounds. A few months into this new venture, MLK was assassinated, and the Poor People's Campaign soon fizzled. I've been encouraged to learn that the Poor People's Campaign has been revived in recent years, working to join people of all colors and cultures who are still living on the margins of American empire. More people with each passing decade, a greater proportion of our population with each passing decade. In this regard, a communion table or church community where all participate as equals is still a radical act. Now, the sacrament of communion evolved over the centuries. It became something rather different from what those early Christians practiced. Some UU churches do offer communion with bread and wine from time to time, not grounded in the theology that says Jesus died to wipe the slate of sin clean for the rest of us, but in a spirit more similar to those early Christian communities, with their inclusiveness and their radical sharing. What Unitarian Universalists are even more likely to practice are things like flower ceremony and water ingathering, sometimes called flower communion and water communion. These rituals of our own invention reflect the spirit of valuing each person in a way not unlike those early Christians' breaking of bread together with countercultural egalitarianism. But probably the most universal UU sacrament of fellowship occurs after worship. I'm speaking, of course, of coffee hour. Coffee hour, along with the time just before Sunday services, is one of the very best times to be intentional about practicing hospitality. We don't want people to end up feeling as forlorn and awkward in the common room downstairs as I did sometimes in that junior high lunchroom. And we don't want to unwittingly put our foot in our mouths, as I've done before, as we make conversations with people who may not be just like us or just like the other people that are already here. And most congregations have to be pretty good at laying out the welcome table for new people on an ongoing basis just to hold steady in their membership. There's always attrition as people move away in our mobile society and, of course, die. But in the current season, I believe a genuine welcome has become even more important. People feel more disconnected after a couple of years of shutdown and social distancing, online church, various degrees of personal risk and anxiety, or personal isolation and a feeling of loneliness behind masks. Well, this church has been reopened for worship for over a year for in-person worship, and the new multi-platform or hybrid model. It may not feel as easily connected when you do show up. If you're in person, the sanctuary might feel more sparse for the very good reason that half of the people who are participating now are online. You don't see them. Does it feel that way to you? It's like, where are all the people? If you're participating online, obviously you aren't in the same physical space with others, so that's a different experience. Even if you exchange greetings with others in the comments, you can't see the body language or hear the tone of voice of others with whom you're interacting. So it is different. Our leadership has agreed that continuing to offer online worship is a key part of our welcome. It gives us a way to include those who are homebound with serious illness, those who are at higher risk from COVID because they are immune compromised, and we do have a number of members in that category. Newcomers often find it less intimidating to try out this community online before visiting in person, so that turns out to be another benefit of being online. And I've noticed that many members find it convenient to sometimes attend from home in the Omaha area, or from their snowbird home or wherever they happen to be traveling on a Sunday. Our tech team and our worship team have worked hard to try to include everyone as best we can, whether you are here in person or online. But the truth is, we are struggling for enough volunteers to offer the kind of hospitality that I would want everyone coming here to receive. As new people come, and as more longtime members who fell out of the habit find their way back through the pillars and into this beautiful sanctuary, as I hope more will do, I want them to feel the same warmth and acceptance and belonging that I felt when I first checked into a UU church. If you are a member or friend who sometimes attends in person, my invitation to you is to sign up occasionally to be a greeter or help make coffee hour happen. Let me borrow from hymn number 113, Where is Our Holy Church, and put it this way. Where is our coffee hour, where all of us unite to make the coffee, serve the snacks, and help to make things right? Where is our welcome team, where a human heart will help to usher, lead, or greet, signs up to do their part? Is it hard to understand? No, we have checklists for you. Sign up for just 1 week, you can. It's all easy to do. Where is our paradise? It's time to bring it back. And soon we hope to see a rise, a welcome smile, and a snack. can see that my musical appeal has moved you. And you want to help. But how? After the worship service, you can go out to the foyer and sign up to be a greeter or help with coffee for an upcoming week. Or if an upcoming week doesn't work for you, put your name on a list and we'll let you know the next time you can sign up. Those online today who do attend occasionally in person will be sending out links to the updated signups in the Joys and Concerns e-blast, so you too can sign up and help sometimes. Being friendly is a good start and something that we all can help do. But true community goes much deeper than a warm smile or a cozy beverage. That's my husband's perspective anyway. When we had been dating for a while, it's been 13 years now, but at the beginning, when we had been dating for a while, and it came time for him to meet my parents, he had no doubt that they would be nice. Everyone knows how to be polite with company, right? What he wondered was whether they would really accept him as he was, not just tolerate his presence, but embrace him as part of the family. I had told him that I did not believe it would matter one bit to my parents that he was African American, while my family, as you might guess, is Euro-American. Or that he grew up poor, the first in his family to go to college, while in my middle-class clan, most people have advanced degrees. He didn't exactly take all of that at face value. It wasn't that he didn't believe me, but life had taught him that people do not always live by their ideals. Even good liberals who believe in racial equality, or good churchgoers who affirm the inherent worth and dignity of people of all socioeconomic backgrounds. Now, of course, my parents were very nice to him, but it was when they taught him to play hearts, our family pastime, that he began to feel like he belonged. And when they teased him for his continual efforts to shoot the moon in that card game, which he did about a month ago, woohoo. And when my parents gave him a hiking stick, just like the rest of us have, and when my mother hand-knitted him a scarf to keep him warm in cold Midwestern winters, that is belonging. So I hope that all of us will not only be intentional in our friendliness to new or isolated people, but also make it easy for all to experience that they truly do belong here. I'm going to invite you now to stand, if that's comfortable for you to do so, and join in a responsive affirmation. And our membership coordinator, Melissa Gibson, will join me on the dais to lead it. Your response is actually here on the hymn board. For those at home, it's this we will do. So we'll gesture when it's your turn. So let's give that a try. This we will do. One more practice time. This we will do. Okay. The church's work of welcoming all is a shared ministry.
Each of us can greet every person we meet here with a genuine smile.
Not yet. But I love your eagerness. Each of us can be alert for those who may feel awkward or lonely and help introduce them to others.
Each of us can ask open-ended questions, listening with care and curiosity.
This we will do. If we are part of a church group or program, we can actively invite others into participation and connection.
If we are looking for that connection ourselves, we can muster our courage and try something new.
This we will do. As we are able, we can participate more formally in Sunday hospitality.
Greeting or making coffee gives me a job to do that may help me feel more comfortable too.
As I stretch myself, I can help to grow the circles of community.
If I am someone who can occasionally attend in person on Sunday, I will seriously consider signing up to help with hospitality from time to time.
This we will do. Hospitality is not just for those of us who join in person.
The people who attend online are important to this community too.
We can all affirm the value of our online ministry for maintaining and growing community connections.
And when I attend via YouTube, I can do my best to create a friendly online space for other people who participate that way.
I hope all of you up there are doing that too. While hospitality is all the more important after a period of disconnection, we recognize it as an ongoing part of our shared ministry.
Year after year, this community can affirm its commitment to actively including all those who join us here.
This we will do. You may be seated. I believe this church will be enriched by new people, as well as the re-engagement of past members and friends. We'll be better equipped to live out our mission to foster the whole person, compassion, and justice as we reach out in friendship to all who might find in this place a spiritual home. It all begins with the way that we gather in on Sunday mornings. Let us make room at the table for everyone. Let us make our table a welcome table where every person is truly seen and welcomed. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to stand if that feels good to your body for our closing hymn, which is number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. So let me tell you what's going to happen next after worship, before we close out worship. We're going to have a 15-minute break before the congregational meeting. There isn't any coffee downstairs because we don't want you to go there yet. Instead, you can go to the foyer and learn more about the Heart and Hand auction. Mark will be there, as well as sign up to support our hospitality as a greeter or coffee maker. Melissa and several other helpers will be happy to tell you more about that. Online attendees, the congregational meeting will be on Zoom, so you can switch over to that. Gary's going to open the Zoom room soon. And we'll signal you all that we're about to start the congregational meeting when you hear the offbeats singing another catchy tune. Okay, so that's the plan. I'm going to extinguish the chalice. Not yet. Let us welcome all the kinds of people who come to sit around the welcome table in this community. Let us make room at the table for everyone. May it be so. Amen.